Today, we're diving into the career of one of India's most fascinating state leaders, Devendra Fadnavis. Honestly, his political journey is a story of these incredible highs, some really dramatic lows, and a few comebacks you just wouldn't expect.
I mean, think about it. How does a politician manage swings like that? You're the chief minister, then you lose it all. You become leader of the opposition, then you come back as the deputy chief minister, and then you're back on top again. It is a genuine political roller coaster, and we're going to break down exactly how it all happened. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at his early days and his pretty meteoric rise. Then, we'll get into his first term as chief minister. That's when he got the nickname Inframan. After that, we dive into the political chaos that followed, touch on some of the big policies and controversies, and finally, we'll talk about his recent return to the top job. Okay, let's kick things off with his early career. Fadnavis didn't just ease into politics. He really shot through the ranks, going from a student activist to the leader of a state in what felt like the blink of an eye. I mean, his rise was just incredibly quick. He starts out in student politics back in 1989. By 97, he's the mayor of Nagpur. Just 2 years after that, he's an MLA in the state assembly. Fast forward to 2013, he's heading the entire state BJP, and then, bam, 1 year later, he's the chief minister. It's really a textbook case of a politician on the fast track. And get this, he was just 27 years old, an age when a lot of us are just figuring out our careers. Fadnavis was already the mayor of a major city like Nagpur. This made him one of the youngest mayors in the entire history of India, and it really marked him as someone to watch from very early on.
You know, making that jump from a local leader to a major state-level player was the key moment. Getting appointed as the BJP's Maharashtra president in 2013, well, that was the final stepping stone. A lot of people credit that promotion to his sharp organizational skills and his deep roots in the RSS, which put him in the absolute perfect spot when it was time to pick a chief minister.
All right, let's shift gears to his first term as chief minister, from 2014 to 2019. This is the period that really cemented his public image. He earned this reputation as a leader who was just relentlessly focused on massive infrastructure projects. So a huge part of his strategy was something he called the War Room. Now, this wasn't your typical weekly meeting. It was a dedicated command center that he set up to personally oversee and push through these huge projects. He was all about cutting through the red tape, tackling problems head-on, and it was this hands-on, execution-driven style that got him that Inframan nickname. And you can see the sheer scale of his ambition when you look at something like the Mumbai Metro. Before 2014, the city had just one single 11-kilometer line. His government kicked off this enormous plan for a 337-kilometer network. The goal was to totally transform public transport in one of the most crowded cities on the planet. I mean, the difference in scale is just, it's staggering. And it wasn't just the metro. His first term saw a bunch of other landmark projects get going. You've got the Samruddhi Mahamarg, that huge expressway connecting Nagpur and Mumbai. There's the Atal Setu, which is now India's longest sea bridge. Then there's the Jal Yukt Shivar Yojana for water conservation in rural areas, and the massive redevelopment of Mumbai's BDD chawls. Each one of these was a gigantic undertaking. But it wasn't all about urban megaprojects. His government also had a big focus on rural issues. One of the key initiatives was this 35,000 crore rupee farm loan waiver. The plan was designed to help about 4.8 million farmers, with roughly 2.8 million getting a straight-up loan waiver and another 2 million getting incentives for keeping up with their payments. Okay, so now we get into what was easily the most dramatic part of his career. The years from 2019 to 2024 were just defined by intense political drama. We're talking broken alliances, shocking plot twists, and power constantly changing hands. So the 2019 crisis basically went down in 3 stages. First, the decades-old partnership between the BJP and Shiv Sena just completely fell apart, all because they couldn't agree on who would be chief minister. Then, in this wild early morning ceremony that shocked everyone, Fadnavis was sworn in as CM, backed by a breakaway group from another party. But turns out they couldn't get the numbers, they couldn't prove a majority, and the whole thing collapsed. So his second time as chief minister lasted a grand total of 80 hours. That's it. It's the shortest term in Maharashtra's history, and it's become this powerful symbol of just how chaotic things got during that time. You can really see the turbulence of this period in all the different hats he had to wear. After 5 full years as chief minister, he found himself as the leader of the opposition. Then, after another political shakeup in 2022, he became the deputy chief minister. Now, some people saw taking a number two role as a big step down, but it absolutely kept him at the center of power in the state government. Now, let's take a look at some of the key policies and, the controversies that have really shaped his career. Because beyond all the power politics and big projects, his positions on some pretty sensitive issues have been a huge part of his story. So, on the really contentious issue of Maratha reservation, Fadnavis made his position pretty clear with this quote. He said, "Politics can go to hell, but creating a rift between communities is not in our principles." This was basically his way of signaling that, while he had to deal with the political pressures, his main goal was to not let it create divisions in society. His government also passed the Maharashtra Freedom of Religion Bill. This was a law that brought in some very strict penalties for what it called unlawful religious conversions. For instance, if a conversion happened under the false pretense of marriage, it could mean up to 7 years in prison, with even harsher penalties for things like mass conversions or if someone was a repeat offender. He has also been at the center of a few controversies because of his public remarks. Back in 2016, he got a lot of heat for suggesting that people who wouldn't chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai should leave the country. And then in 2023, during some communal tensions, he used the term Aurangzeb's children to talk about sympathizers of the Mughal emperor, a comment that critics immediately called out as a dog whistle. On the legal front, he also faced a major challenge over his 2014 election affidavit, specifically for not disclosing 2 pending criminal cases. He always maintained it was just an accidental oversight by his lawyer, and in the end, a Nagpur court acquitted him of the charges in 2023. And that brings us to the latest chapter, his third act, if you will, his recent return to the chief minister's office. In a lot of ways, it brings his political story full circle. So, after those really turbulent years as opposition leader and then deputy CM, the 2024 state elections brought him right back to the top. The BJP came out as the single largest party, and on December 5th, Devendra Fadnavis was sworn in as Chief Minister of Maharashtra for the 3rd time, a pretty remarkable political comeback. If you had to pick one word to describe his journey, it might just be this: resilience. The ability to take a hit, to withstand a crisis, and to recover quickly. From that 80-hour government to serving as a deputy, his career is really a case study in political survival and the ability to find a way back to power. So that leaves us with the big question. When people look back, will they remember Devendra Fadnavis as the inframan, the builder who literally changed the state's landscape? Or will his legacy be that of a master political strategist, a politician who knew how to play the complex, sometimes ruthless game of alliances and power? Maybe the real answer is that you just can't separate the two.